Hey kids, Dr. Bones here with your lesson for section 1 of chapter 4. Welcome to a new chapter. This is where you are going to apply many things that you learned from chapter 3 to graphing. And so before we get started with that, we need to settle on some common vocabulary so that when we're talking with one another about the math things that we are studying, that we know what we are talking about. But before we jump into the lesson, please know that this is just the highlights of the lesson. This isn't the full complete lesson, and even if it were, it wouldn't be the best or most perfect lesson. We just, we do our best. And this is something for my kids at home. If they need a little help, a little reminder, a little direction for homework questions or studying for a test, this is for you. So I'm going to use my teacher notes actually to talk from because they're prettier than what I would do if I hand wrote them. I taught you kids a 4-letter bad word in class, which is grid. I know where your mind was going. Just kidding. Okay, and so on this grid, which is actually called a coordinate plane, we don't use the word grid anymore. On this coordinate plane, we have a variety of features that have mathematical names. So again, this whole thing is called a coordinate plane. It's a grid. Well, I was trying to think of a way to explain it without using the word grid. It's a series of vertical and horizontal lines that are spaced out equally. Each coordinate plane will be divided by an x and a y axis. When we move to the right, that's a positive direction, kind of like a number line. The opposite is negative. When we move up, that's a positive direction. The opposite is negative. I think of a thermometer for that. And right in the middle, we have what's called the point of origin. If I were to write its coordinate, it would be 0, 0. Speaking of coordinates, there's a difference between a point and a coordinate, and you'll notice there are no dots here. This is here a point. The physical round mark that's filled in is called a point. It is not a dot. We can use a pair of numbers within parentheses called a coordinate to communicate where that point is. So in this pair of numbers, the x value comes first, followed by the y. The x, remember, is the horizontal, and the y, remember, is the vertical. So -2, -6 means 2 places to the left and 6 places down. So that gives us the directions to find the point on the coordinate plane. Now, when the x and y axes are added to the coordinate plane, by the way, they don't have to be right in the middle, just typically they are. 4 smaller boxes are formed. They're not called boxes. They are quadrants, and they are numbered with Roman numerals. Roman numeral 1 is top and right, and then we go counterclockwise. 2nd quadrant, 3rd quadrant, 4th quadrant. And all of the points for quadrant 1 will be a combination of a positive number and a positive number, because we'll be moving in the positive direction and a positive direction. In quadrant 2, we will have a negative and then a positive. It's awesome how I don't find these errors until I'm recording a video. Wonder how long that's been that way. Here we have negative and negative, and here we have positive and then negative for quadrant 4. So if you have a particular coordinate, you could say what quadrant that point would be in. So if I told you that my coordinate is +2, -3, I would know without even having to graph that it would be in the 4th quadrant, +2, -3, or a combination of a positive and a negative. All right, so that is kind of a rough tour of some of the elements that we'll be using as we move forward. We have some practice for you, and this is hopefully review. If it's not, that's That's why we do this. So you can get kind of a crash course before we go. Numbers 1 through 3 say to write the ordered pairs that correspond with points A, B, C, and D. So please write A and a coordinate, B and a coordinate, C and a coordinate, D and a coordinate. So A is +2, +2, because I went 2 right and 2 up. B, what do you think that would be? Is it 0, 4 or 4, 0? 0, 4. There's no horizontal movement, but there's 4 moving positive. How about C? Is that right? No, it's not. It's 3 to the left and 2 down. They're both negative. And how about D? It's our point of origin. Good. Okay, for the next section, you should plot the ordered pairs on a coordinate plane. So you will need a coordinate plane for this lesson. Anytime you use one of these, please make sure you label it with the section number, put your name, top right, and number your coordinate planes so that I know which question you're working on. So this says plot points 2, 2, 2, 4, and 2, 5. Please try that. 2, 2, 2, 4, and 2, 5. You don't need to label. I'll know what you're doing when I go to give you some feedback. Okay, for the next section, it says, without plotting the point, tell whether it's in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4. First of all, please remember that to write your solutions in Roman numerals. So here I have a combination of 2 positive numbers. So in a coordinate plane, I'm going to go right and up. Remember, that's quadrant 1. Let's try a different one. This says to travel 5 and -2. 5 right, 2 down. 5 right, 2 down. That's quadrant 4. Let's try another one. A negative and a positive. Negative, positive. That's quadrant 2. And a negative and a negative would then have to be left, down. Yeah, like that. Okay, then I've also assigned to you 18 and 19. Please notice on your coordinate planes that there are only 10 boxes by 10 boxes for each quadrant, but on your worksheet this goes up to 8, which is fine, but this goes up to 36. So I recommend that you on this axis count by 4. This is a little confusing. It shows HD. Remember, a coordinate goes the X and the Y. So X, Y. So when you do your coordinate plane, the X will go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8. And the Y is what we're numbering by 4 to get up to 36. So 4, 8, 12, 16, and so forth. For the next one, it's even more confusing because they do the ordered pair with Y and F, X and Y. They're talking about converting yards to feet, but this is confusing because they use the Y for yards in the X position of the coordinate, and so I just want to give you a little bit of a positive start on that one. Now this goes up to 20, so each of your boxes is going to have to be worth 2, and this goes up to 60, so each of those boxes are going to have to be worth 6. Alright, I think you'll do just fine. If you get stuck, don't hesitate to shoot me an email at zbrones@d231.roshow.net. Or you know where to find me at school. Always happy to help. Thanks, guys. Bye.